And the syntax difference is tuple has a parentheses, list has a square brackets. That's the syntax difference. Now, besides syntax difference, what does list do? What does tuple do? Last time we talked about a list, and today we say tuple. Tuple similar to list. They look very similar because whatever you can save to a list could be saved into tuple. Now, what's the difference between tuple and the list? What's the difference here? I put a note here. Tuple is a collection. It's like a list. The difference is the value in tuple cannot be changed. You cannot change the value. Once you create a list, once you create a tuple, it's tuple. You cannot change the value. For example, I have my list here. I'm going to do this here. I say my list, and the first element is apple. I'm going to change it to another value here. So this is what I do. I say 0. 0 means the first element, and I'm going to give a new value here. I'll say orange, and then I can print this value here. So I can see how the value look like. I just do this, and now I can print. So let me run it. But before I run it, I'm going to save it to my computer. I will save this file to my computer. I'll save. Right, so I'm gonna run it to see what it gives me. I can see orange here. The orange is from this line. I'm gonna turn on the line number. So line number. So the orange is from line number 7. It print out orange. You see that? So what happened here is I was apple. Now I replaced the first element of value as orange, and it works. Now I'm gonna do the same thing in tuple. So right, how do you access to the tuple? You still use number to you still use index number to access the tuple. So right here, I say print. I only want to print out the first element. So I use an index to do it here. That's the index. All right, this is what I do. Look at that. This is what I do. So I print out the first element. Let it run it again. So now I can see, oh, what's wrong with that one here? Look at this. I got a, Right, this is what I do here. So you can see when I print it, I can see apple here. Look at that. I got an apple. I can print it. So it means I can access to the list the same way as I can access to the list using index and square brackets. Square brackets and index. But now watch this. I'm going to change the value. I want to change the value here. Look at this. I say orange. Orange. I'm see the first element, index number 0. I was apple. Now I'm trying to give orange. Replaced the first element using new value, orange. Watch this. When I do this, what happened here? Notice here I get a error message here saying that tuple object doesn't support item assignment. So right here, it says that what?
So we cannot change anything.
It's unchangeable. It's unchangeable. That is tuple. That's the difference between a list and a tuple. List, you can change the value. Tuple, no, you cannot. Yeah, question.
Can you sort the tuple like you would do a list?
Yes, you can sort it. You can sort it. A tuple has a lot of functions that you can use. So I show you this one here. I'm going to look at the I want to see the documentation. Size, mean how many elements it has. Get a size, get an element, get an item. Put some values in it and no change. No change. That's the reason. We in our life we do have a lot of information that we set it up, we don't want to change it. For example, your name. We don't want to change your name. So we set it up, it's there. And also the people's record. For example, your major. Once you finish the major, for example, computer science, we never change it because it's there, or it's a history. It's something like history. So any records, we set it up, we put in a tuple, no change. Why do we do this? Because we want to protect the information. As it's put in a tuple, you want to change it to get an error message. That's how we protect it. So sometimes we do need a bunch of information. We put in a tuple and no change. Means we can protect the information this way. But if you put in the list, you can change it anytime. That's tuple. So if you think there's some data that you want to create it, save it there, no change, put into tuple. And let's see, I want to add more values into my tuple. So here, I just do a replacement quickly here, right? So this time I got this tuple here. You want to print tuple, all you do is you just say print the name of the tuple. So I print, now I get all of these tuple printed like this. I'll print it, close it. They're all printed like this. And when we want to access to the tuple element, you use index. So we know the first element always has index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And when we work on the list, the index always from 0 and so on. It starts from 0, the first element. You never give a negative value here. For example, right here, like this, if I say list, what if I give a -1? It's out of range. We don't have this index because the first index is 0 in the list. Now if I do like this here, watch this here, I get an orange and I get a what? Cherry. Look at that. -1, we don't have -1. But if you do -1 here, what happened here? You get the last element here. If I can -1 point to the last element. What if I do -2? Watch this. I get what? Banana. So it does reverse order, means you go backwards. You go this direction, -1, -2, -3. And this is only available in Python list. If you do it in other languages, you put a negative number for the index, you get error right away. You're gonna pass the compiler. But Python allows you to go backward, use a negative value. Well, even we don't do it too much, but it's allowed you to do it. Same thing for tuple. Same thing for tuple. So right here, I'm going to say -1. -1. Watch this. You can see when I do -1, I get a Mongo. Mongo is the last element here. So it does the same thing as a list. Go backward. Go backward. If I understand this here, I can say, what if I can do like this here? I can do positive number, I can do negative number. Look at this here. This time, I say 2:5. What does it mean? 2:5. Now you can see cherry orange. So cherry is right here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But notice here, 2:5, we got a 3 printouts, 3 value. 5 is excluded. 2 is included. 2, we have 2, we have 3, and 2, 3, 4. 5 is excluded. So you got only 3 printouts. So it means when I print a range of the element, I can use colon to tell where to go. Now, if I only say for the same thing here, I say only 2 colon. What happened here? Look at that. I go from index 2 all the way to the bottom here. And now if I go to you do it through the negative value, -4 to -1. Let's see what happened here. I got a orange, kiwi, melon. One, 2, 3, 4. But 1 is excluded. So it's like this here. Index, this is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. But we say :4 to 1. You can see we got this one, this one, this one. That's it. And the last one is excluded. Last one is excluded. Now, same thing here. But this time I say -1 and -4. Watch this. Orange. Look at that. That's what I have here. Look at that. I got nothing here, empty parentheses. I get empty parentheses. I just replace the order here. This is the -4 to -1. I get this printout. But if I say -1 to -4, I get nothing here. I get nothing here. Means it only goes from left to right. Only goes from left to right. If you go to a -1 to -4, you don't have anything to show. Just know this. That means when we give the range in the list, we always count it from left to right. We don't count it from right to left.
Yeah, but what does that mean, the 2 column?
2 column, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Which one? Which?
The 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, which line number?
And 21.
21 is like this. Means
yeah, what does that mean? 2
means
column?
this means I go to all the way end. I don't care what's the last one here. Just go all the way end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to go all the way to the end.
Okay.
Yes, that's why we don't specify a number here. Yeah. So that's the list, and if you want to update the list, just use the index number to update the list. And so, for example, I'm going to add one more item to see. That's the one I have here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elements in it. What if I'm going to add another one? So right here, you do this. You say this tuple, add one item. How do you add one item here? You say we use append to add item in the list. Now I want to do the same thing right here. Say, for example, I say and watch this one here, append. Look at this here. I'm trying to add item to tuple. I try to add item to the tuple, but look at this here. It says
Yeah, we cannot because it's unchangeable.
it said no, you cannot add it there. Give me error message here. Give me error message saying I cannot add anything there.
That means you can't subtract any.
No, you cannot. You see, because we added here, it doesn't allow me to add one more, and even I'm going to do this here. So because append is list my item, list my function. Now I'm trying to add it here. Say no, I don't. It doesn't take it. But if I do want to update, I do want to update. So here's a little technique. I want to add watermelon to the tuple. And even I'm trying to use index to do it. So I know this doesn't allow me to do it here. So I'm going to do this here. I'll put a comment here. And then I'll say, now I'm going to do this. I say, what if I just use index number to do it directly? It says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 elements. Now I'm going to do this here. I say tuple, use index to access to it. So the last element, 6, right? And let me see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to change to 7. And then I give a new value to it. And look at that. It says the tuple doesn't support assignment because my current tuple size is 6. So I want to add one more to it because this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it doesn't have an index 7. If I try to do it here, I got an error message here saying, no, you cannot do it. Why? Because remember, we call tuple as unchangeable. So once you set up the value, it's there. Once you set up the tuple, the size is unchangeable. You put it there, it doesn't work. You get an error there. But what if I do want to add one more element to it? I do want to. I need it. So there's a way to do it. I'll show you. We want to I put a message, I put a comment off here because it doesn't allow me to do it. I say error. So I tried to use append, which the list method doesn't allow me to do it. If I try to access to the tuple with the index, it doesn't work. So what if I do want to add one more item or add more items into the list? Means I want to update. So here's the way you can do it here. You say, create another variable here called y, and you call function list. Pass the tuple to the function list. Pass to it. So y, variable y, create a list using function list and pass the tuple to it. And now because of y is a list, I can just say y dot append. Because y is a list, so I should support append method. Append, and right here we pass watermelon to it. Now y is a list, so I just print out y first. I print out y first. I print out a y. Let's see, what do I got here? Now you can see I got a new list with all information that I wanted to, but now I'm working on y. What is y? Y is a list, not a tuple. But I do want to update a tuple. I want to add my watermelon to tuple, not a list. So you do this. We do this right here. We say tuple, use function tuple with value y, Now I print it again. So this time my tuple has 7 elements or 8 elements. So here we gotta help. We use the function list to pass the tuple to list. That's y. And then we use function append in the list to add one more item. And then we pass the list to tuple. Means we replace the original tuple with new tuple value. Just do a replacement. So I can still update my tuple. Means add one more item. It works like this. This is just the way to protect tuple value, because you're not supposed to change tuple. Once you set up, it's set up, no change. But what if you do want to change it? The reason is we create an application probably this year. And a few years later, we need to update it. But once we update it, we probably don't want to redo the work because there are a lot of things involved. We probably don't want to redo the work. So we just do update. How do you do update? It's a little complicated here, but we can still make it like this. Because whenever you create a computer program, once it's created, it's not always there. You always do update. Every few years you do update, always. So there's a way to work on it. There's a way to work around it. And show another way to do it. I'll show you another way to do it here. I'm going to add another value to the end. So now we have when I print out the tuple, I get this long list right here. And what if I say I decided to add another item here. You know, that's how you do it here. This is the list. This is the list. And here's the way. I create X. Now, what is X?
A list.
X is what?
A list.
It's a tuple. We don't say it's list. Why? Because this is parentheses.
Y is the list, X is tuple.
No, X is a tuple. Y is a list. Why X is a tuple? Because this is a parentheses, not a square bracket. If it's a square bracket, it's a list. If it's a parentheses, it's a tuple. That's the difference. A square bracket make a list. Parentheses makes a tuple. So now this X has only one element. It has only one element. Orange, only one. Normally, when we create a tuple, we have more than one element. If we only create one element, it just create a variable. No need to create a list. But sometimes we do want to do it here. So watch this. That's the list. And I'm going to do this here. I say this tuple I get an error here. No, watch this.
Professor,
Uh-huh.
will you have this recording available afterwards? So I can write the code that I messed up later?
Yeah. All right, so let's see. Okay, I'm gonna get orange here. It doesn't give me error here. Look at that, that's interesting. Why do I get error? Okay, I think I know why. Hold on. All right, here it is. Look at that.
Oh, so it has to be comma.
It has comma. I missed it. It's a comma. Because comma is the separator that you add more than one item. So comma. So here I can create X, which is a list, but only have one item in it or one element in it. And I use a plus X here just to add, because X is a new list, a new tuple. So we append the tuple using plus X. Now you can see orange is the last element here. Orange is the last element here.
So what we just did, we add another element.
Add another one. We either can do it like this using list, or we should create a new tuple to do it. To add one more item.
What is the list for?
List. Yeah, that's the list.
What do we usually use it for?
What list?
Like what?
You missed that part. I wouldn't because we talk later. Right here. So there are two ways to update the tuple. Two ways to update the tuple, and I can add item to it. But we want to remove it. Yes, you can remove it. When you want to remove an item, tuple doesn't support remove. List support remove. So this time we still get help from list. We still get help from list. So right here, I'm going to update my list. So I created a list right here. Let me create another one here so that we don't get confused. So right here, I say Z list. Right, and then I put a tuple to it. So my Z is a new list. My Z is a new list. And now I can remove anything I want because I know list has a remove method, remove function. And I want to remove apple, remove apple. So remove apple. And then after this, I pass Z back to list. And then I just print out this one again to see what happened here. Now I can see I was apple, now become banana. I successfully remove it. So now I can update, I can now I can add item, I can remove item from tuple. Even I was not allowed at the beginning, but now with the help from a list, I can do it. What items do I have here altogether in tuple? I want to know the size of the tuple. Size. Doesn't recognize size. Want to know how many elements altogether? Length, L-E-N. That's the same as list, length. You can also go through the tuple with a for loop. Go through a tuple with a for loop. So it's like this. Use a for loop to go through the tuple. This. For loop. Does that work for you? So we can use a for loop to go through the list. We can use a for loop to go through the tuple as well.
The for loop works, but it didn't remove the apple. It didn't remove the apple when I put, the Z remove apple.
Oh, remove doesn't work for you? No, you do this. Hold on. Look at sure. Z is right here, and then Z dot remove, and then tuple Z. Did you do that?
Yeah.
Huh?
I did.
It shouldn't, because I don't have an apple. I don't have apple when I print it out here. My list here, everybody is a string: apple, banana, cherry, and so on. They're all string. They're all string. And when you create a list, you say try to put the same type of values together in one list. You don't want to mix it. So I put all these are string. I wouldn't put a number into it because they're different things, different type of information. We don't mix it. Sometimes we do mix it. So for example, I say, for some reason, I want to. I have one tuple like this. For some reason, this is my tuple. All strings. They're all strings. And I have another tuple here. That's what you do. You just put a different information into different tuples. Don't want to mix them together. But sometimes I do want to mix them together. If you don't mix them together, you still don't put them all together. Instead, you create another one called a tuple 3. And that's what you do. You put into different tuples and use a plus sign to concatenate the two tuples into one. But that'll be the third one, tuple 3. Does it work for you? Works? Right. And one more thing I want to show you here. Sometimes we don't do that too often, but sometimes we do. We do a multiply here. Multiply. When we do multiply 2, what does it mean? You just want to repeat the same tuple at the end. Do a multiply. So that's the tuple and list difference. Does it work for you? It works. All right, so list, tuple. These are two things we used to do. We used, we're talking about, you probably wonder, why do we talk about the list and tuple? Because we use the list and tuple to organize information. What our program is used to process the information, to manage the information. And we have a lot of information here. We have to think, how do I manage the information? And many times you want to do a quick update, and maybe you want to sort, search, update. Then that's time we use a list and tuple to, if we put in those information into the list and tuple, we can sort it quickly, we can search quickly. We can search, we can do addition, we can do a sum quickly. But if they're not, if we create a bunch of variables and we want to press the information, you have to do one by one. That takes a lot of time. So that's why we use a tuple in the list. Tuple in the list. And tuple is only available in Python. If you learn other languages, there's no such concept. They only have a list, or they call it array, no tuple. It's only available in Python. Tuple is what? Is used to do what? To create information, no change. That's the purpose of a tuple.
So for permanent